Do 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 do. Hello, everybody. How you doing? Welcome to Shadow at Night. It is Tuesday, January the 21st, 2025. Have I mentioned lately that Justin Trudeau is an incredible idiot? I also believe that he is still going to be leading the Liberal Party of Canada when the next election happens, because the Liberals are just not going to have time to elect a new leader before the election happens. And so it's going to be Trudeau who leads them into that election. He's going to try and win it by running against Donald Trump. And I'll show you why I think that. I said that last night and probably Friday night and Thursday night. But I'll show you why I think that, based upon this press conference he and his Liberal cabinet gave today regarding these possible U.S. tariffs that could be coming in on February 1st. So welcome to the show, everybody. I hope you're doing well tonight. The Shadow at Night live stream, as always, is brought to you by Canada Nano Silver, CanadaNanoSilver.com. The immune gummies simplify your daily immune support with convenient and delicious Nano Silver immune gummies. Each serving contains powerful triple action nano silver, elderberry, vitamin C, zinc, and vitamin D3. This will help supercharge your immune system. It's safe and proven. The nano silver technology works alongside your body's own immune system to help you stay healthy and strong for everything that life throws at you. This time of year, there's all kinds of things flying around germ-wise, and you want to protect yourself. I don't blame you. And you want the best stuff. You want stuff with no filler in it, with nothing that, they threw in there chemically speaking, like you get in Shoppers Drug Mart and London Drugs and all the big corporate drug chains. You want to get this stuff from CanadaNanoSilver.com. Again, that is CanadaNanoSilver.com. You can make an order online. You can go ahead and look for a retail location. They're all listed on the website, on the retail locations tab. And if you want to become a retailer of these awesome products, well, get a hold of Kevin and Anna through that contact tab at CanadaNanoSilver.com. Again, that is CanadaNanoSilver.com. All right. Hello. Jonathan, how you doing? Welcome to the show tonight. Jonathan's watching on Facebook. John is watching today on Facebook as well. Hello, Mark. 47 days, election has to be called. Well, I don't know what you're talking about, bud, but no, that's not true at all. Railroaded is watching on YouTube tonight. Hello, Railroaded. I'm just going to call you Rail for short. Blair is watching on Facebook tonight. Hello, Darren, Janet, Mike. Volume is low. I can always turn it up a little bit. How's that now? Is that a little better? Can you hear me better? I was screwing around with it a little bit on some testing this afternoon, and yeah, I may have left it a little bit low. Tell me if it's better, because if it's not, then I'll make it better. I got to make it better for you, man. Up your volume, Mike says. Again, he says. Well, I'm going to wait for you, Mike. You're the arbiter of volume here, so hoping that the volume has increased and you can hear me now. Hello, Ron. Ron says it's perfect. Bill says I was fine before. I guess it depends. Hello, Rhea. How you doing in Halton Hills? I guess it depends on what platform you're watching on. Like some people, like last night on the extension, some people couldn't even get the volume on Telegram, but it was fine on the website. I don't know what the heck's going on there, because if I'm pumping out the volume, I'm pumping it out the same way to all of the different platforms, Facebook and YouTube and Twitch and X and Telegram and Rumble, all you guys. You're getting the same thing from this end, so you should be able to hear it fine. It's all good. All right. Then let's move on here. I want to say hellos to the Rumble people before I get into this thing. So Patricia, Esky Dog, Uniaki, Robin, Andy, Eva, Buckster 59, and Chicken Hair, and Rico Suarez, and Seacross, and Lori B. Gory. I love the Rumble names, man. The Rumble names. Jan Can 64. Kiva and Jimmy, all you great Rumble people, thank you for being here. Don't forget to like and share, you guys. Let's get this out to as many people as we possibly can. The same drill every single night. So Trudeau and his cabinet are meeting in Quebec, right? And I guess they've been putting their rockheads together to come up with some kind of response to Donald Trump's possible tariffs to be imposed, maybe, on February the 1st. And here's the press conference that they came up with today. This is...
As Donald Trump was officially inaugurated yesterday as President of the United States, my cabinet and I have gathered here with a singular focus: upholding our long-standing friendship with the United States and protecting Canada against potential tariffs. We heard the President's comments yesterday and the directive he has issued to examine the trade relationship between Canada and the United States while exploring the possibility of tariffs. But we remain confident in the facts. Canadian energy powers American manufacturing, businesses, and homes. On top of that, President Trump said that he wants to usher in a golden age for the United States. That will require more steel and aluminum, more critical minerals, more reliable and affordable energy, more of everything to run the U.S. economy full steam ahead. Canada has all those resources, and we stand at the ready to work with the United States to create a booming and secure North American economy. Of course, if the President does choose to proceed with tariffs on Canada, Canada will respond, and everything is on the table. We are prepared for every possible scenario. In fact, just last night, I spoke to Premier Ford in his capacity as chair of the Council of the Federation, and he reiterated his unwavering commitment on behalf of Canadian premiers to working all together. This is an important and challenging moment for Canada and for Canadians, and we know there will be many such moments. Through all of it, I want to be clear that we have Canadians' backs. Canada needs to respond with equivalent tariffs on imports from the United States. Those would be paid by Canadian consumers. That's why we will look, as we have in the past, at things that have replacements. The example from last time was Heinz's ketchup being replaced by French's ketchup.
Yeah, the ketchup. That'll do it. I can't believe what a moron this guy is. We're going to look into the comparative economies of both countries in just a second from 2023, and then looking forward what they're projected to be. But here is this story from left-wing corporate tax-funded CBC that says Trudeau floats dollar for dollar matching tariffs. Dollar for dollar. All right, keep that in mind. Keep that in mind. Officials have already drawn up a plan that will levy immediate tariffs on $37 billion worth of American goods if Trump moves against Canada, rising to $110 billion if the president doesn't back down. I would assume he thinks that some of that is going to include oil and gas, energy. And Danielle Smith will not allow that because natural resources are a provincial responsibility, not federal. So she's trying to come up with a scheme right now to stop the Trudeau Liberals from imposing tariffs on Alberta energy. And I think she's pretty close to coming up with one. She's actually going to create a crown corporation that buys all of the oil that Alberta exports, because one level of government cannot tax another level of government. So if Alberta, the province, outright owns the oil that gets transported to the United States, then the federal government can't do anything about it. Trudeau says Ottawa is also prepared to enact some more severe measures, a possible oil export ban. You can't. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Justin, but you can't do that. Here is Premier Danielle Smith in a press conference just today.
Let's be super clear about why we find ourselves in the situation that we're in today. It lands 100% at the feet of Justin Trudeau, who even just a few weeks ago gave a speech where he thought it was an affront to women that Kamala Harris didn't win. We're in a trade negotiation with a brand new administration, And we have a prime minister who keeps on poking his finger in the eye of the current administration and has damaged that relationship. So if there's a failure, it lands at his feet, which is why I'm counting down the days to when he's gone and we can have a reset. It's 47 days to go, and I hope he doesn't continue torching the relationship in the meantime. All I can do is try to repair and build relationships that should have been repaired and built over the last 4 years. That is what we do by having our office in Washington. We have good relationships with people on both sides of the aisle because that is what diplomacy is. You have to be able to work with both Democrats and Republicans, and you have to refrain from expressing a preference for who you would like in the White House. And so if there's a failure of leadership and if there's a damage to the relationship, it's 100% at the feet of Justin Trudeau.
It certainly is. I mean, for any of you who are involved in any kind of business or were involved in any kind of business, you guys know you got to work the room. You got to go out and schmooze. You got to go out and glad hand meet the people, the key people that you're going to be dealing with in the future. And Trudeau would rather sit back and criticize publicly, by the way, the president of the most powerful country economically and militarily in the world. He's an idiot. He always has been. We know this, right? So let's have a look at this dollar for dollar response that Trudeau was yapping about today. Big talk. And he understands that Canadians probably don't know, most Canadians probably don't know that we can't go toe-to-toe with the Americans. Maybe they do on some level, but they don't know the actual number. So let's have a look, shall we? This is from Statista.com. North America gross domestic product of Canada and the United States 2019 projected into 2029. So let's have a look at 2024. Let's just say here's 2024. So the Americans have a GDP. This is what their economy is worth. $29.167 trillion. $29.167 trillion. And that's going to go way up with Trump in charge. Way up. Canada, just over $3 trillion. The American economy is 10 times the size, 10 times the size of the Canadian economy. And if Justin Trudeau wants to go toe-to-toe with Donald Trump, with the United States in a dollar-for-dollar tariff match, big boxing match, Donald Trump could snuff out this country, the entire country economically. Remember, he was talking about that economic pressure not so long ago. He could snuff out Canada in less than 3 months. So Trudeau is talking about, well, you know what? I mean, if we're going to have to do this dollar-for-dollar tariff thing, we're going to have to obviously subsidize companies so they can stay afloat. Subsidize them with what exactly, Justin? Do you understand where that money comes from? It comes from the people. Or are you planning to print more money and create even more inflation, which would absolutely tank Canada? It would tank the economy. It would tank the currency. And then we would be ripe for the pickings for the United States to walk in and say, all right, you're the 51st state. Welcome to the United States, Canada. And again, that's something I'm sure a lot of people are kind of hoping for. I would like to see an actual poll on that. And I wonder if people, when they answer a poll like that, would they answer honestly? Would they say, yes, I do want that? Or would they say, no, hey, I don't want my friends to see me, even though their friends would never, ever see what they wrote down on a poll response or said on a poll response, right? But somehow you think that they're going to hear me or see me somehow. Would they be honest and say, yeah, I'm in, you know, or would maybe some patriotism from deep inside somewhere, after Trudeau has tried his best to snuff it out for the past 10 years, would that reemerge somehow? And would people go, nope, I'm Canadian, damn it. And I'm going to stay in the freezing cold with a dollar that's below 60 cents US if it's the last thing I do. Or is all this just part of the greater plan? So, I believe that Justin Trudeau is going to be running in the next election. I believe that court case that's been launched by the JCCF, which the Federal Court of Canada says, yeah, they're going to hear that. They're going to hear that on February 14th and 15th, or is it February 13th and 14th? The one about the prorogation being illegal. So the federal court is going to hear that case and hopefully make an expedited ruling because, after all, it is an urgent matter. That's why they agreed to hear the thing in the first place. So if Parliament comes back, you bet the federal government's going to appeal. They're going to try and make it look good. But in the meantime, the court rules you got to come back. So they got to go back. How long would it be before there's a confidence vote, which would hopefully mean an election if the NDP plays along? But who knows what Jagmeet Singh is going to do. Here he is talking today, all election-like.
Pierre Poilievre was endorsed by Elon Musk. Elon Musk is a part of an administration that threatened our country, that threatened Canadian jobs, that threatened our sovereignty, threatened to use economic pressure against our country. So you would think that someone that loves Canada, that wants to defend Canadian workers, when given a chance, would reject that endorsement, right? Well, Pierre Poilievre was asked the question, do you accept the endorsement of Elon Musk? And this is very telling. This tells you whose side he's on. He said in response to that, you would think, you'd say, no, I reject the endorsement of a guy who's a part of an administration that threatens our country, that threatens Canadian workers. I would reject that. He said he's a great guy. He wants to go to Mars. My kiddo wants to go to Mars. Yeah, even with the Nazi side, he's accepted the endorsement. So this is what it means. Elon Musk knows that Pierre Poilievre is his guy in Canada. That's his guy. He knows that he'll do whatever he wants. He's not going to upset that endorsement. Guy runs one of the biggest social media platforms. He's not going to take him on. He's not going to fight back. So he's shown whose side he's on. He's made it clear that billionaires, we got your back. We're going to make you even richer. That's why Elon Musk endorsed them. He's not endorsing me. I'm going to take on the billionaires. I wouldn't accept it anyways.
Yeah, right. Did you hear Singh make a reference, albeit very brief, to this Nazi thing that all the Democrats are saying Musk did at the Trump inauguration yesterday? And he did make this, but it's all been taken out of context. And we're going to explore that in just a few minutes if you stay with the show here. Did Elon Musk do the Nazi salute? Oh my God, they're freaking out about it all over social media today. So would Jagmeet Singh, I mean, it sounds like he's on the campaign trail already, right? Probably going to try and save as many seats as he can for the NDP. I think they've got 24 right now, maybe 25. I'm not sure. I don't know what it is exactly. 20. I mean, there's been by-elections, right? So it's hard to keep track of the movement of the seats. I know the Conservatives have got 121, I think. The Liberals have got 152. Doesn't really matter. That's all going to change. But when is the question? Where's Poilievre been in all of this as well? Well, he did issue a statement today, and we're going to get to that. What do we got next? Oh, right. Trudeau's environment minister, this is from CP24, has endorsed Mark Carney and vows to work with him on a carbon tax replacement. Wow. I mean, Stephen Guilbeault has been yelling and screaming about the carbon tax for the last 10 years. He finally got his way, finally got a carbon tax, and now he's very, very willing to get rid of it and replace it with something else. Interesting. Stephen Guilbeault endorsing Mark Carney as the next Liberal leader, says he's willing to work with him, blah, blah, blah. He's navigated crises when he was at the Bank of Canada, the Bank of England, and I know he's the right person to help bring us into the next phase of our work to support Canadian, to build a strong economy. Is that bad writing or bad speaking by Guilbeault? It's hard to tell. Support Canadian to build a strong economy and to fight climate change. Here's Stephen Guilbeault on X today, talking about misinformation and disinformation by the Western Standard, our friends in Calgary. He says, enough is enough. The non-stop spread of misinformation is one of the greatest threats to fighting the runaway effects of changing climate. This recent example from the Western Standard is particularly appalling with this headline. Guilbeault, CTV News. publish fake news about 2024 hottest year ever as LA burns. Then he goes on to say, this isn't journalism. It's nonsense. Needs to be called out. They even included a chart showing global temperature over periods of millions of years on a scale far beyond the existence of humanity. Scientists at the ECCC have weighed in on these commonly trafficked misinformation theories. The answer, of course, that Earth's climate has naturally varied over the last few million years, but today's climate change is not natural. It's supercharged by human activity. And then he goes on and spouts a whole bunch of crap from the IPCC, which is not even got one scientist in it. It's all a bunch of climate activists, right? So why don't we hear what a scientist actually has to say? Somebody with great environmental knowledge, somebody who co-founded a very large organization about 50 years ago. His name is Dr. Patrick Moore. The organization is Greenpeace. Listen to what he has to say.
One of my missions is to turn on its head the idea that carbon dioxide is a pollutant and somehow dangerous, when in fact it is the most important nutrient for all life on Earth, and without it this would be a dead planet. So I say not only is carbon dioxide good, it is essential, and it's a good thing that we are putting some more carbon dioxide in the atmosphere because it was running low before we came along. If we had definitive proof that CO2 was causing serious problems and we could prove it, don't you think they would write that down on a piece of paper somewhere so people could read it? They don't have definitive proof, period, in science. I'm a student of the philosophy and history of science, and I know that the scientific method has not been applied in such a way as to prove that carbon dioxide is causing the Earth to warm.
You think in a few years, say 50 years from now, people go, that was a really stupid period in our history when we tried to change all our energy policies to cut this gas?
I am firmly of the belief that the future will show that this whole hysteria over climate change was a complete fabrication.
Yeah, Dr. Patrick Moore. He's done a very extensive interview with Jordan Peterson recently. You should probably go find that on YouTube if you've got about 2 hours to kill. Another Liberal MP, not a cabinet minister, but a high-profile MP just the same, for all the wrong reasons, has come out supporting one of the Liberal candidates today. It's Mark Gerritsen of Kingston and the Islands. And here's what he had to say in a video released earlier today.
In this election, it is crucial we choose a leader who embodies this change. Someone who listens, understands, and acts with integrity. And most importantly, someone positioned to guide us through the challenges ahead and seize the opportunities that lie before us. For me, and for so many others I've heard from, that person is Mark Carney. I will be supporting Mark Carney for leader of the Liberal Party of Canada, primarily for two reasons. First, what we need right now is someone with the experience required to handle the economic realities in Canada and throughout the world. Mark's qualifications in that regard outmatch every other candidate in the field. Second, like many of us, Mark Carney cares passionately about our environment. Again, Mark's experience in this regard is unparalleled. Serving as the UN Special Envoy for Climate Action and Finance, Mark is respected around the world for his contributions to fight climate change and build stronger, healthier economies. Quintessentially Canadian, Mark compares his youthful days playing hockey to his vision for leadership, an understanding that teamwork and resilience is valued, and the importance for leaders to stay focused and adapt swiftly to challenges is crucial.
Oh, he likes hockey. Well, I think I'll vote for him then. Hi, Mark Gerritsen. This is also Mark Gerritsen, by the way, from the House of Commons. I think this was last spring. Have a look at it.
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary.
If I understood that member correctly, Mr. Speaker, he just asked and questioned whether I was towing a Liberal Party line or a Communist Party of China line. My response to that member is, let's go outside and say it to me in public where you do not have the parliamentary privilege that you have in this room.
Mm-hmm. Okay, Mark, I'll step outside with you. I'm your Huckleberry. Let's go, buddy boy. What a clown. Unbelievable. Oh, by the way, I looked at 338canada.com for some polling in Kingston and the Thousand Islands, or Kingston and the Islands. And it looks like it's going to go blue. This would be the first time that this particular riding has gone blue in 40 years, from what I understand. So the Conservatives in that riding hold 35%. The NDP are in second with 30%, and then Garrett's in there at 28%. Now, it's possible that the sample sizes in this particular poll are a little bit too small to be able to tell for sure what's going to happen, and, the odds could change. But generally, 338canada.com is pretty accurate with their polling. On large numbers, maybe not necessarily the small, but it looks like Mark is going to lose his seat regardless. And getting back to Mark Carney and all of these cabinet ministers and MPs throwing their lot in with him, because he can guide us out of an economic disaster, because he's done it before and he could do it again. He did it for Canada. He did it for England. All right, so Liz Truss, remember that name? She was very briefly the Prime Minister of the UK. And Cian Bexley caught up with her in Washington near the Canadian Embassy earlier today. And here's what she had to say about it.
Just wanted to get your thoughts on Mark Carney and your relationship with him while you were Prime Minister of the United Kingdom, and any advice you have to Canadians who think he might make a good Prime Minister.
Well, Mark Carney was Governor of the Bank of England, and under his tenure, too much money was printed, which did damage to the British economy and put our economy off track. He, at the last election, endorsed Rachel Reeves' economic policy. She's now become Chancellor. It's been a disaster for Britain. The country is heading for bankruptcy. So I would strongly recommend not backing Mark Carney or his policies on net zero, which have been disastrous for Britain and would be disastrous for Canada.
Do you trust his judgment overall, outside of ideological considerations?
Well, I believe that he made major mistakes in the management of the Bank of England. He has pushed net zero, which has been a disaster, not just for the UK, but for many countries across the world.
Thanks for your time, Prime Minister. I appreciate it.
So when you think about all of this money printing that Justin Trudeau has been doing for the past few years, and all of the inflation that it's created, all of the debt that it's created for our country and for the people of the country, you have to think, where's he been getting this information from? And we say, obviously, the World Economic Forum, Uncle Klaus, right? But who also is involved heavily with the World Economic Forum? Well, it's Mark Carney. And I told you last night that Chrystia Freeland's name and likeness have been removed from the World Economic Forum website. Just one day she's a board of trustee member, and the next day she's a ghost. She's history. She's toast. I don't think this means she's changed her spots at all in her beliefs, but definitely she crossed a line with Trudeau and Carney and Uncle Klaus, who we're going to hear from. By the way, the World Economic Forum is on right now in Davos, and Klaus Schwab is not happy at all that Trump won the election in the United States, and he's even less happy about all of the right-wing populists who are popping up all over the Western world winning elections. He doesn't like that at all. Pierre Poilievre released a statement today via the conservative website, conservative.ca, and of course on X and all of the other social media. It says, Canada is facing a critical challenge. On February 1st, we are facing the risk of unjustified 25% tariffs by our largest trading partner that would have damaging consequences across our country. Our American counterparts say they want to stop the illegal flow of drugs and other criminal activity at our border. The Liberal government admits their weak border is a problem. That's why they announced a multi-billion-dollar border plan, a plan they cannot fund because they shut down Parliament, preventing MPs and senators from authorizing those funds. We also need retaliatory tariffs, something that requires urgent parliamentary consideration. Yeah, I'm wondering, this cabinet retreat, can Trudeau just impose these tariffs unilaterally with an order in council, or does he have to go to Parliament? Well, Poilievre says here he has to go to Parliament. Yet, Liberals have shut down Parliament in the middle of a crisis. Canada's never been so weak and things have never been so out of control. Liberals are putting themselves and their leadership politics ahead of the country. Freeland and Carney are fighting for power rather than fighting for Canada. Common sense conservatives are calling for Trudeau to reopen Parliament now to pass new border controls, agree on trade retaliation, and prepare a plan to rescue Canada's weak economy. The Prime Minister has the power to ask the Governor-General to cut short prorogation and get our Parliament working. Open Parliament, take back control, put Canada first. I wonder if Pierre knows that there has been a court challenge launched by the Justice Center for Constitutional Freedoms. Doesn't sound like it from that statement, but then again, I mean, I guess he must feel he has to look like he's doing something, because we haven't heard a lot from him these past few days, especially now when we need to. Here's a story from, more of an analysis from our friend Dan McTague. Dan used to be with Gas Buddy and obviously was a Liberal MP for years and years, but not under these zealots. He was an MP under Paul Martin and Jean Chrétien. And he says Trudeau must repeal this EV mandate. I'm not sure if many people even know about this, where there's not going to be any gas-powered cars sold in Canada by 2035. And they're going to be trying to taper down the number of gas-powered vehicles that are sold between now and then by percentages with each passing year. Danielle Smith is obviously opposed to that. Anyway, last Monday, Transport Canada released a bombshell statement announcing the Trudeau government's program granting a $5,000 rebate to Canadians purchasing an electric vehicle had run out of money and would be discontinued effective immediately. And this followed a prior announcement from the government of Quebec that they would be suspending their own subsidy, which had amounted to $7,000 per EV purchased. This is a province, by the way, that's taking, $13 billion in transfer payments this year, Quebec? And they're just handing money out like that for people who buy electric vehicles? That's absolutely ridiculous. No wonder Alberta's upset. I don't blame them. McTagg goes on to say this, of course, is a game changer for an industry which the Trudeau government and the Ford government in Ontario has invested billions of taxpayer dollars in. That's because no matter the country, the EV industry is utterly dependent upon a system of carrots and sticks from the government in the form of subsidies and mandates. EVs have remained notably more expensive than traditional internal combustion engine vehicles, even with those government incentive programs. Without them, the purchase of EVs becomes impossible for all but the wealthiest of Canadians, which is why you see so many of them in Vancouver, which has got a lot of people with a lot of money. And it's fine. Let the rich people have their toys if they want them. Though if they justify the expense by saying that they're saving the planet by it, Dan says, I may be tempted to deflate them a bit by pointing out that EVs are in no way appreciably better for the environment than ICE vehicles, how all the lithium, nickel, cobalt, manganese, aluminum, copper, etc. contained in just one single EV battery requires displacing about 500,000 pounds of earth. Mining these materials often takes place in poorer countries with substandard environmental regulations. Moreover, the weight of those batteries means that EVs burn through tires more quickly than gas and diesel-driven vehicles and wear down roads faster as well, which, among other issues, leads to an increase in particulate matter in the air, what in the old days we referred to as pollution. That's a potential issue, but one that's mitigated by the fact that EVs make up a small minority of cars on the road. Regular people have proved unwilling to drive them, and that will be even more true now that the consumer subsidies have disappeared. Of course, it will be an issue if the Trudeau Liberals get their way. You see, electric vehicles are one of the main arenas in their ongoing battle with reality. And so even with the end of their consumer subsidies, they remain committed to their mandates, requiring every new vehicle purchased in Canada to be electric by 2035, now just a decade away. They've done away with the carrots, and they're hoping to keep this plan moving with sticks alone. This, in a word, is madness. Guys, do not forget to like and share. Get this out to as many people as you possibly can on whatever platform you're watching on. the left-wing corporate media and all of the Democrats in the United States, and I'll imagine, left-minded people all across the world were up in arms today. They picked something from the inauguration celebrations yesterday in Washington as Donald Trump was coronated the 47th president of the United States. And that one thing came from Elon Musk. Elon did a speech yesterday in front of all those people at the inauguration. And apparently he did, one of those things. Seen those before, right? That. So let's have a look at the actual video with context. And I want your opinion. I'm going to go to comments right after this. I want your opinion. Hello on Telegram, by the way. I'm not sure if I said hello on Telegram, but if I didn't, hello on Telegram. I want your opinion as to what this really is. So here you go.
There are elections that come and go. Some elections are, important, some are not. But this one, this one really mattered. And I just want to say thank you for making it happen. Thank you. My heart goes out to you. It is thanks to you that the future of civilization is assured. Thanks to you.
So what do you think? What do you think about that? Was that a Nazi salute? My heart goes out to you. Was it a Nazi salute disguised as love for the people? Or was it just Elon, who's, on the spectrum, showing his love for the people? I think that was Elon showing his love for the people. That looks like it was. We're going to watch this again. We need to watch this again.
There are elections that come and go. Some elections are, important, some are not. But this one, this one really mattered. And I just want to say thank you for making it happen. Thank you. My heart goes out to you. It is thanks to you that the future of civilization is assured. Thanks to you.
Yeah, I think it's just Elon being Elon kind of a moment, but So the big globalists not happy at all about the Trump victory. We're going to go through some video here. Oh, and by the way, Trump pulled out of the World Health Organization. That was one of the first executive orders that he signed last night after inauguration. Here's Tarek Jazavarek, who is the chief spokesperson for the World Health Organization, talking about it.
The World Health Organization regrets the announcement that the United States of America intends to withdraw from the organization. WHO plays a crucial role in protecting the health and security of the world's people, including Americans, by addressing the root causes of disease, building stronger health systems, and detecting, preventing, and responding to health emergencies, including disease outbreaks, and often in dangerous places where others cannot go. The United States was a founding member of WHO in 1948 and has participated in shaping and governing WHO's work ever since, alongside 193 other member states, including through its active participation in the World Health Assembly and Executive Board. For over 7 decades, WHO and the United States of America have saved countless lives and protected Americans and all people from health threats. Together, we ended smallpox, and together we have brought polio to the brink of eradication. American institutions have contributed to and benefited from membership in WHO. With the participation of the United States and other member states, WHO has, over the past 7 years, implemented the largest set of reforms in its history to transform our accountability, cost effectiveness, and impact in countries. This work continues. We hope the United States will reconsider, and we look forward to engaging in constructive dialogue to maintain the partnership between the United States of America and WHO for the benefit of the health and well-being of millions of people around the globe.
Not gonna happen. What Trump wants to do is create a new World Health Organization, just push this one aside, and he wants to find like-minded countries who are interested in joining. So who might they be? Well, let's see. I think Italy would probably be interested. I'm sure there's a couple of other European countries. I think what Trump might try to do as well is break the European Union. I just got that feeling. Who else might be interested in leaving the World Health Organization? Well, depending on who wins the Canadian election, quite possibly Canada. I mean, if Pierre looks at it and goes, you know, I think this new one's better than the old one. Of course, there would be all kinds of outrage from the left in this country. And that's something people need to remember as well, right? I mean, just because Trump is in there, he's the president, just because he controls, not he, but the Republican Party controls Congress, like both branches of Congress right now, just because of that, and the Supreme Court, just because of that, doesn't mean the other side is going to roll over. I mean, they've still got the left-wing corporate media down there, right? And they've still got all those screaming, whining, hollering politicians. And, you know, for all the talk about, I'm going to blue sky, I can't stand it here, free speech is horrible. They're still on X. They're still whining and crying on X, getting ratioed with every post they write, but they're still there. They're not going anywhere. And they still control several states down there, large cities down there. So it's still a fight. And the same thing is going to happen here. When we do get a change of federal government, there's still going to be that fighting with the left-wing provinces, the left-wing cities, municipalities, all of that. There is going to be fighting every step of the way to bring sanity back to where it used to be. Like, go back 20 years now. Maybe more, maybe less, but it's still going to be a fight, you guys. This is big, but it's not over. What I'm talking about is Trump winning that election. Who should we hear from next? How about, and this is at the World Economic Forum today, how about German Chancellor Olaf Scholz?
So, on the question of the dealing of Elon Musk, I had a lot of things to comment in the past because he was discussing a lot about Europe. And just to repeat what I already said, we have the freedom of speech in Europe, and in Germany everyone can say what he wants, even if he is a billionaire. And what we do not accept is if this is supporting extreme right positions. And that is what I would like to repeat again.
Wait a minute, hold on, Olaf.
If this is supporting extreme right positions. And that is what I would like to repeat again.
Extreme right positions?
If this is supporting extreme right positions. And that is what I would like to repeat again.
Okay, what's your definition, Olaf, of extreme right? Because lately, extreme right has been classified as people who go to church on Sunday, people who actually live in a loving nuclear family, people who actually think logically, people who think are now right-wing. How many times have you read that in left-wing corporate media and been, I hate to use the word offended, but offended? I see that and I go, extreme right-wing? No! And you want to just reach into the screen and you know, try and talk some sense into the people who are writing this. Do they even realize what they're writing? Do they believe it? Are they told to write that crap? Because it's absolutely not true. Getting back to Elon Musk for a second and the thing that he did that was taken out of context by the left-wing corporate media. Let's throw this up on the screen for just a second here. This was posted on X today by Libs of TikTok. Can someone direct me to the articles where the media expressed outrage over this? I can't find any. So here's what you got. You got Hillary Clinton. You got Barack Obama doing the thing. There's Pocahontas doing the thing. And then there's Kamala doing the thing. The thing. So you can take anything out of context. And what these people are, I think I wrote this on social media today. I'm not sure which platform. I get confused after a while because I'm trying to handle so many of them, and it's a lot. But anyway, maybe it was Facebook, where you just say, look, I mean, the media is out of control and the other side's out of control. And they sit there and they complain about misinformation and disinformation when they're the ones who were doing all the lying in the first place, or taking things out of context and making them something they're not. And you know they're never going to correct themselves. They're never going to apologize. And you have to think, where does this end? I mean, eventually, and I really hate to say this, but does there have to be a law that says you can't lie? If you're a politician or a political staffer or media, you can't lie. I mean, you can't even bend the truth a little bit, and you can't take things out of context. I mean, you can't legislate that, obviously, because it would be hell to prove. And even then, it's free speech. And I suppose there is a law system in place, a legal system in place, so you can sue somebody if they go overboard. But they're getting very sneaky and crafty about that as well. They're using such wording as, well, I didn't really say that. That's not what I really said. I was just quoting somebody else who may have said that. Oh, so you're speculating, but you're not lying. Gotcha. All right, there's my little rant for the night here. Oh, I didn't play Klaus Schwab yet. Here's Klaus Schwab. This is his address at the World Economic Forum today.
Care for the next generation fails. We risk depending into self-serving and short-sighted behaviors that undermine collective progress and lead to profound societal and political shifts. To counter the erosion of hope and confidence in our future, we must go beyond reacting just to crisis. We must focus proactively, shaping the future in strategic, innovative, and constructive ways, despite the intense, short-term pressures and problems which we all feel. It is not cynicism or negativism which brings us forward, but practical steps to address the real-world challenges, what we want to do here during this meeting.
It's a James Bond villain. He couches his language so well, this guy, right? As to what his real intentions are. But you got to listen very closely and read between the lines with him. Listen.
And lead to profound societal and political shifts.
Profound societal and political shifts. What exactly are you talking about, Klaus? Are you trying to manipulate society and politics? Like, seriously, you're supposed to be the World Economic Forum. Maybe advise a country or two on how to handle their money a little bit better. Are you talking about society? That's not your lane, bud.
To counter the erosion of hope and confidence in our future, we must go beyond reacting just to crisis.
Whose future? You say our future, but whose future are you talking about? Because nobody asked you to create any kind of future at all.
We must focus proactively, shaping the future in strategic, innovative, and constructive ways.
Again, an unelected, whatever he is, we're not interested in you shaping anything, bud. We, the people, are the ones that need to be shaping the future. If anything, he's coming right out and telling us that he plans on shaping the future. It's kind of alarming, actually. You know, when you sit and listen to it, when you really sit and listen to it, when it's not background noise or something, when you sit down and listen to the words that he is spouting, you go, yeah, this guy's up to something, man. Even a normie could see that. Right? Okay. Don't forget to like and share, you guys. Get this out there to as many people as you possibly can. So, Raylan Fox, our friend Raylan, who has been railing against pornography in schools and public libraries, public schools and public libraries in Manitoba and obviously other provinces, has released a part 5 in her series of Those Books Aren't in My Kid's School. And I know some people got a little upset with the last episode, part 4. But one thing that you need to understand is you're adults, you're grown-ups. You may not like hearing this stuff, but you need to hear this stuff because this is what they're forcing on our children and grandchildren in public institutions, institutions that we pay for with our tax dollars. Even still, I have edited this one a little bit to take out some of the more over-the-top language, but it's still going to be pretty awful. I am not going to take it off. So if you don't want to hear it, then you can go and come back in a few minutes. All right? I'm just letting you know now. I don't want to hear any complaining in the comments about this because it's important that people hear this stuff. Here's Raylan.
Those books aren't in my kid's school. Part 5. Welcome back. This week we're going to take a look at the porn selection in the Garden Valley School Division. But before I share that with you, I feel it important to show you this. It's a newsletter from the Garden Valley Teachers Association. In it, they showcase a brand new challenged book lending library. The creation of this library was a direct response to the outcry of thousands of community members to remove sexually explicit material from the children's section in the South Central Regional Library in Winkler, Manitoba. Through this challenged books lending library, books are being made available to teaching staff to borrow and read for themselves to decide whether or not they believe that they are appropriate for students or not. The newsletter lists a number of highly concerning titles. I've highlighted some of the ones that I am familiar with, but clearly there's more books I need to be looking into. A couple particularly disturbing books on their list are these two, both of which are essentially sex act handbooks. The second one there is one of the picture books that the community pushed to have removed from the children's section in the public library. I won't be sharing the images of the inside of that book here. However, I have included a link to the book in the description, and I will issue a strong warning to those who choose to view it. It is highly disturbing. While this private library is not being made available to students at this time, teachers are permitted to use outside materials as they see fit, as long as they can justify it as meeting learning outcomes. This may leave some wondering, why do the teachers' unions come out so fiercely to defend pornography? Why do they push so hard for sexually explicit material to be handed to children? The role of the teachers' union is to advocate for the rights of teachers. I'd like to know which teachers came to them with the concern that some parents didn't want their kids being given pornography. Or is this something that the unions came up with on their own? Which then begs the question, what purpose or role have the teachers' unions taken on? To be DEI social justice warriors, forcing their political agenda on the teachers and therefore the children? While teachers' unions play a role in shaping education policies, shouldn't parents have the final say in what material is being made available to their kids? So with that, let's take a look at some of the books being made available to students in the Garden Valley School Division. As with my previous videos, I will state that the books that I am about to read from are in no way all of the sexually explicit books being made available within the schools in your division. I chose just a handful to read from as my time is limited. I apologize in advance for what I am about to read aloud, but you would not believe the vulgarity of these books without hearing it for yourselves. So this is your final warning to ensure that there are no children within earshot. Let's get into it. Book 1. Shine. Quote, by that point, Tommy had unbuttoned my shorts and yanked them down around my thighs, along with my panties. I was gripping them, trying to get them back up, but he was stronger. Book 2. The Freedom Writer's Diary. Quote, she kneeled in front of David O'Neill, a popular junior boy. I couldn't make out exactly what was happening, but he was holding something in front of him that looked like a bottle, and I think she was crying. Then her head started moving back and forth, and as the crowd of rowdy boys gathered around them, she started to go help her, but was pushed back to the ground as a voice screamed, "Where do you think you're going, whore? Did I say you could get up?" Book 3. Damsel. Quote, he managed to twist free the buttons of his trousers, and then he guided Emma's fingers to the shaft of him. A noise like a hiss escaped from Emery as he used his hand to wrap Emma's fingers around his yard. It was hot and hard, with a dew-wet drip at its tip. If you are disturbed by the contents of these books like I am, and agree that they have no place in a public school library, I urge you to contact the Garden Valley School Division Board of Trustees. They are there to represent the interests of parents. If they refuse to acknowledge the harms caused by these materials being made available to minors, keep pushing. Sign up to speak at a board meeting. Go to local or alternative media. And if you would like a list of other books like these to check for on your school catalog, a great resource that I found is booklooks.org.
You know, I got to hand it to Raylan for doing such great work on getting all of these things together. It's not easy to go through all of those lists because they're extensive. There are thousands and thousands of books on these lists, and then you have to go through other lists from different jurisdictions, libraries, and schools to see if they match. And she's been doing this, you know, also being a mom and a wife and all of that, and it's time consuming. And then she does these videos, and I want to thank you, Raylan, for doing this. I really appreciate you making people aware of what is going on in our public school systems. And it's not just Manitoba, as you know. It's everywhere. It's my hope that there's a Raylan Fox in every single province in this country. And if there isn't, maybe Raylan, and I don't know where she'd find the time for this, but maybe Raylan could train people up to do videos like this, and more importantly, to find the books that are in the Saskatchewan schools and the Ontario schools and the Quebec and New Brunswick and Newfoundland and BC and Alberta and all of that. What else have I got for you guys? Oh, hey, here's an interesting piece of news that I just thought was relevant. Came out 7 hours ago. And this comes from Business Intelligence for BC. BC First Nations leader reverses stance on pipeline as Trump tariff threat looms. Very interesting. The president of the Union of BC Indian Chiefs is reversing his previous position to the scrapped Northern Gateway pipeline project that would have created another route for Alberta's oil to get to the Pacific Ocean. Well, maybe we should, he says. The president of the BC Indian Chiefs reversing his previous opposition to the Northern Gateway. Grand Chief Stuart Phillips said today that while he's really fought against Northern Gateway's construction before it was scuttled in 2016, well, that was a different time. And Canada now has no choice but to reconsider. So now, all of a sudden, things have changed for you somehow. Is that it? Why, I wonder? Oh, is it because they're going to get energy without us? Maybe. Maybe you get a cut of the pie. I don't know exactly what's happened to make somebody who's been fighting so ferociously against a pipeline for so many years finally got his way, and now he wants to reconsider it? That sounds kind of fishy to me. One more thing before I let you guys go. We're going to go, and once again tonight on the extension, we're going to try and do the Telegram thing like we did last night. Some people were having some problems getting the sound to work in Telegram, which is ridiculous because the sound was working on the website, but for some reason not in Telegram. So what I found were some settings that you can use on your Telegram app on your phone. I put them up in the comments in the Shadow at Night community, the group on Telegram last night. Please, Jimmy or Rita, these are going to be the two moderators going forward in that group. Could you guys find that post I put up? And I know it's going to be tough because there was a lot of people commenting in there last night. Could you find that post, please, and reshare it so people know how to get the sound on the video on Telegram before we start the extension? That would be cool, because tonight we're going to hear from Del Bigtree talking about that vaccine study that came out almost a year ago now. 99 million people, all the adverse effects, And even though the media at the time and many medical journals at the time said, oh, rare side effects, very rare. He's going to go through all of the numbers. And I'd never seen this video before, and I thought it was very, very fascinating. So we're going to do that in the extension tonight. And also, we're going to be hearing from Professor Thomas DiLorenzo discussing socialism and what it really is, what it's a path to, and how long we in Canada and even in the United States, although they're not as far along as we are, how far down the road to communism we actually are and have been before we all started waking up in the last few years. Socialized medicine, for one thing, that is the first thing they go after every single time. And that's why, and gun control and property rights. But this is something that they've been trying in the United States for years. And even though their health system down there has put people in hock pretty much for their entire lifetimes, at least they still have a lifetime. Here in Canada, you can die in a waiting room. Happened in Manitoba last week. Some guy sitting in a waiting room died. I guess his case wasn't emergent enough. And that happens with so much frequency under the system. And the other thing about our Medicare system in Canada is how it's so tied to the Canadian identity, which is something we have to get rid of. Because it's a system they've been pouring billions and billions and billions of dollars into each and every year. Do you know that for every province in this country, whatever their budget is for a year, let's say Alberta, their budget is $70 billion. 1/3 of that money goes into the healthcare system, fully 1/3, at least, in some cases a little bit more, and in some cases a little bit less. But go with 1/3. That's about $23 billion in Alberta going to healthcare. Isn't that amazing? And what do you get for it? Waiting in an emergency room for what, 12 hours in some cases? Waiting 8 months for an MRI? It's outrageous. And I'm not blaming the people working in the system, the doctors and the nurses and all of the other people. It's the system itself. It needs to be overhauled. They have some great systems over in Europe, you know, where it's a hybrid, where it's part private, part public. And it seems to work much better over there than here. And yet, for some reason, if the second somebody says our healthcare system sucks, we need a new one. Oh, you're a heretic. You're not Canadian. The guy who brought it in was a raging socialist. I don't want to hear that he's number one Canadian of all time. And they did that poll years ago, the CBC. Tommy Douglas, give me a break. He was a communist. So anyway, we're going to hear about that tonight from Professor Thomas DiLorenzo and also Del Bigtree on the extension. Hopefully you're an all-access member or you want to go check it out in the Shadow at Night community on Telegram. For the rest of you, Lieutenant Stephen Rogers, hopefully one night this week. We've been in contact and we're trying to work out a night. And it'll be good to have the LT back on the show. It's been a couple of years now. I checked and I went, what? It's been that long? So yeah, I'll let you know more tomorrow. I love you all. I appreciate you all. And I will talk to you again tomorrow night at 8 o'clock Central for another Shadow at Night live stream. I'll see you later. Bye for now.